Currently, the place is full of people enjoying the soccer festival. The great outdoors is also teeming with extraordinary wildlife. There, people are sweating as they cultivate the wasteland. They have already spent 20 years pioneering in the South American continent. It has not been a smooth ride, rather, it has been a journey of sweat and tears.
At first, just the fact that we were coming here was unbelievable. It was a test of endurance to see whether we could keep the same mindset in any environment. Every day was a fight to win.
However, they never left this place. Freedom and peace, an ideal world of happiness. It was because of the Pantanal project.
Our vision is that people will love nature more and protect it, not destroy it. We must care for nature for the benefit of mankind.
Pantanal project. We will meet those who are dreaming of such a world in South America.
여러분을 2014 브라질 월드컵으로 초대합니다. 함께해 주신 여러분을 환영합니다.
Nature and humans. The Brazil World Cup begins with a splendid performance on the topic of soccer. Brazil is now completely enraptured with this soccer festival that has finally begun after 4 years of anticipation. The final stage will be held here in Rio de Janeiro. This beautiful port city is among the 3 most beautiful seaports in the world, although Rio de Janeiro is better known for Carnival. Rio is recently renowned as the host city of the World Cup finals. Here is the Maracanã Stadium. The stadium is full of visitors even on days with no matches. This stadium was remodeled for the World Cup and is the historical site where Pelé, the emperor of football, made his first goal in 1969. This is why people are relishing the vision of the final match in this stadium. Here is the biggest city in South America, Sao Paulo, Brazil. In the streets, musicians are adding to the excitement of the World Cup festivities with various performances. Suddenly, we hear a familiar Korean song. The Unification Church members in Sao Paulo are the ones singing a Korean song. It feels so welcoming to hear a Korean song on the other side of the world. These Brazilians freely express their affection for Korea. This is thanks to the Koreans who grew their roots here a long time ago.
Reverend Moon has been investing in banks, hotels, and other things since the 1980s. Around 95 and 96, we specifically chose 4 nations in South America to focus our attention on. These 4 nations were Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and this nation of Brazil.
The South America continent actually has a painful history of being exploited by Western Christianity over the past 500 years. After they escaped from colonial rule, they fell into a vicious cycle of chaos, corruption, and poverty. However, South America is also a land of potential, rich with natural resources and an abundance of productive workers. There were certain individuals who realized the potentials of this vast wasteland, untouched by the human hands. It only needed to be developed and cultivated correctly. It was Reverend Sun Myung Moon who determined to pioneer South America in 1995 at the age of 75 with his wife, Dr. Hakja Hanmun. Their decision came from their consistent belief that they must create world peace through overcoming national, religious, and racial boundaries.
Because South America is devastated economically, North America needs to offer aid, and the two can become one. Only then can we establish world peace by uniting North and South America. That is why we are investing everything we have in South America.
Reverend Sun Myung Moon and his wife Dr. Hakja Hanmun visited Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1965 and began their projects. Since then, they have toured each country and spread their vision of peace that transcends religion. When South America became inflicted with communism in the 80s, Dr. Reverend Moon established CAUSA and gathered South America's former heads of state. As a result, he assisted in stopping the spread of communism. In order to support the activities of CAUSA, he also established a newspaper. All these projects were for the sake of realizing an ideal world of freedom, peace, and happiness.
There were three reasons why Reverend Moon focused on South America at that time. First, Reverend Moon tried to connect the 30 Years Foundation, which he made with Protestant Church of North America, to the Catholic Church of South America. Reverend Moon made the interreligious dialogues and interfaith harmony. In order to do this vision, he made various times of events and seminars. Second, Reverend Moon tried to solve the worldwide issues, such as protecting the environment and preserving the natural resources. And third, because the big cities exhaust the human soul, he tried to resolve the issue of human spirits.
This ideal of world peace began to substantiate centered on the Pantanal. The nations in the center of South America, Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay hold the world's largest wetlands. Additionally, the Pantanal has been designated as a UNESCO Natural World Heritage Site. A plan was devised to protect this spectacular natural landmark from unscrupulous exploitation. In order that it could coexist with humanity, this was the basis for Reverend and Mrs. Moon's Pantanal project. In 1995, the Pantanal project began by establishing the New Hope Farms in Jardim, Brazil.
There was no running water or electricity. We were surrounded by 360 degrees of trees and nature. There were no buildings. We started living in that type of environment. At first, I couldn't even believe that I had really come here. When it came to our projects, we were at a loss.
It's been 20 years since the start of New Hope Farms. Yet in order to reach Jardim, one must still take a 90-minute flight from Sao Paulo to Campo Grande, followed by a 3-hour drive. The wasteland of 80,000 hectares has now been transformed into a base for solving world hunger, complete with a main hall, a school, and a dormitory. This barren earth now resonates with the energy of healthy wildlife and humane development. Herds of hundreds of cattle testify that the ranch has been successful. The environment has changed dramatically from what it used to be. Pioneering in the New Hope Farms has not yet finished. Early each morning, people still diligently make efforts to cultivate the land. This area is still being tested by various methods to discover which crops will thrive in this soil and how to best increase the harvest. Look at the large root vegetable.
Isso é mandioca. Aqui no Brasil,
This is a manioca.
é alimento muito rico.
In Brazil,
Muito usado.
many people eat this
Isso aqui
as their
também é
main
o
dish.
principal alimento do índio. Mister, já tira uma foto. Aqui, ó.
The mandioca is similar to the Korean yam.
Aqui as coisas boas.
Various fruit trees have been planted, including orange trees, avocado trees, and sugarcane have also been planted elsewhere. And these will soon also yield fruit.
Esse aqui é pedaço de terra que nós estamos
Here,
preparando.
at this New Hope farm, we plant fruit and manioca to feed our families.
Esse trabalho nosso aqui na fazenda New Hope.
How did this wasteland change so much? We are curious about what they have been up to for the past 20 years. When he first bought the Jardim farm, it was an empty wilderness. In addition to developing a farm in this remote area to help eradicate hunger, they also believed in the importance of teaching family values and their meaning.
When you build a healthy, upright family, the society becomes an upright society. Then the nation can become one of healthy families, and it can spread to the world.
They believe that a happy family is the basic foundation for everything. When an honest parent and child create a family, world peace will naturally come about. Therefore, they develop projects that emphasize the importance of family, the basic cornerstone for human happiness. Additionally, they focused on another issue. They donated 29 ambulances to the people who live in the Pantanal region.
To live in poverty means limited access to health care, even if you are sick. The hospitals are too far, and there are no means by which to reach them. We are donating these ambulances to solve this problem.
However, more reflection was needed. Casting their fishing pole in the rivers or Jardim, they meditated without rest.
Reverend Moon fished there for long periods of time. It wasn't the usual type of fishing. He said he wanted to solve world hunger and fished from morning to night every day. He would forget to eat, and his face became dark from the intense sunlight. He fished in these tough circumstances, desiring to solve world hunger.
Through this period of meditation, the Pantanal project gradually became complete. A basic solution to overcome poverty was discovered right before their eyes.
We believe that the original intentions of our founder, Reverend Moon, will come to fruition through the Pantanal Jardim project. It is the vision that people will love and protect the natural environment and not destroy it, maintaining it for the sake of humanity.
In Jardim, they will continue to take up this challenge. The Pantanal project has now become a large stream that flows throughout South America. Pantanal is also in Paraguay, located in the center of South America. This is Leda, located in the Chaco region of Paraguay. After Jardim, Reverend Moon invested in Leda the most. From Asuncion, it is a 90-minute flight to a location unreachable by car. A remote and desolate area, it is a difficult place to live. We went to a village near Leda. One glance shows that the natives living in this village do not have enough. The villagers do not avoid the strangers. They show their simple homes. There are no modern conveniences. A family of 10 lives in this single house.
We use this lamp at nighttime. Sometimes we use diesel, but we also use beef tallow a lot.
Basket weaving is this family's only source of income. After spending 3 days weaving a single basket, they earn what is equivalent to 7,000 won. Even if they work hard, there are many days when the baskets do not sell. There is not enough to eat in the kitchen. Without a good water supply, they are forced to drink the river water. We visited another family's home in the neighborhood. Their father has just returned from working outside the village for 20 days. The husband hands his wife his pay. What kind of work would a husband do in this village where baskets are the only income?
In Reda, the work is handling fish. We are living well. There is no work in our community. Because of Reda project, I could get a job.
The work of the husband seems to bring smiles to this family. We visited the place where the husband works. Dozens of men are catching fish with nets in the pool. Catching the fish looks actually quite simple. They keep watch over the corner and lift the net. From the way the fish are flapping in the water, we can tell the strong ones have come up. It is half water, half fish. These fish, called paku, are native to the area and are as big as an adult's forearm. As one of the goals of pioneering in South America, plans for solving hunger continued to be carried out. It was impossible to ignore the heart-wrenching sight of the hungry natives. This is why we devised a new method of gathering fish, which was new to the locals, and put it into action. After several years of trial and error, we surprised the locals and even the nation's politicians.
Reverend Moon has spent his entire life on the ocean providence. We also came to this land hoping to help those who live here. Fishing is the best way to help them. We have 15 fish farms, and we are farming more than 10,000 fishes right now. We also provide minnows in this area. A
few days later, the people of Leda were busily moving about. They were preparing fish for dozens of people. Their sincerity in preparing the food was impressive.
We grill large amounts of barbecue using steaks called estaca and share it with others. It is a convenient way of cooking for parties or festivals.
Judging from the preparation of festival food, we guessed that a large event would take place. Just as the meat became ready to eat, guests started to arrive. Though flying in is the only way to come to this remote location, many people have gathered here today. Even the former Paraguayan President Federico Franco has come. The local news station was also here.
I am here on business. I am covering the progress of production all over Paraguay. This is my second time here. But for people coming for the first time, the progress in Lleida is very shocking and surprising.
This is an amazing sight. The people of Lleida are preparing to release artificially incubated pacu fish into the Paraguay River. This is what everyone has gathered to watch. Actually, in Paraguay, it had been thought that the pacu were impossible to cultivate. However, here they have succeeded in incubating pacu fry. This is why the Lleida fishery is amazing news to the people of Paraguay. It was amazing for me as a representative of the national fish cultivation in the media to come to this remote location and see the cultivation of local fish. As I toured the nation, I realized that the fishing industry really provides many jobs for the citizens of Paraguay. Additionally, as the citizens earn a better income, they are able to improve their living conditions. As preparations for releasing the fish were completed, people began gathering on the riverbanks. Finally, it is time to release the fry. As people watch breathlessly, the fish are released. The released pacu will return to the Lleida people and give them wealth. As the release of the fry finish, the people gather together. Since the fishery began 4 years ago, today was the second releasing event. When they first started, no one thought that they would succeed on a large scale, this large. The problem of hunger has now been solved without harming the environment. A concert followed the event to celebrate this significant day. The Pantanal project was completed here in Lleida as well.
I am extremely happy because of Reverend Moon's support. He built a foundation for development in South America that will continue to thrive. This is the type of investment that Paraguay needs. I believe we will no longer face food shortages if neighboring villages in other locations farm fish like we do here.
Development in Lleida began in 1999 by purchasing 81,600 hectares. 12 young people gathered here to create an advanced base for world food production. Actually, at that time, Lleida was in extremely dire circumstances. Purchasing a ruined farm, they gathered to create a village where humans and nature coexisted. However, the reality was not so easy.
Honestly, it was like experiencing hell every single day. Just with the swarms of mosquitoes and the heat was enough to say that it was truly like hell.
As they fought with the mosquitoes, ants, and all sorts of insects in the 40-degree heat, they shed profuse amounts of sweat. However, they did not even complain in these terrible circumstances. They could only continue to endure and have patience. They even endured bathing and washing their dishes in the river water, as there was no running water. As there was no drinking water, they even tried making a simple water purifier as a last resort. However, even with their devotion, sweat, and struggles, the circumstances did not change easily. It was a repetition of ordeals.
No matter what we tried to do, it did not come easily. Nothing. For example, even if we tried to plant crops such as beans or rice, the birds and insects would eat it. Even if we continued to hope, it wouldn't work after a year, 2 years, or 3 years. Some people left saying that it was impossible to farm here. It was the most difficult when our dreams and hopes were vanishing. In other words, one person would leave, and then 2 people would leave.
Reverend and Mrs. Moon visited the farm during this difficult time. They gave words of encouragement and hope to those who were struggling in these difficult circumstances. Afterwards, nothing was impossible, as they did not lose hope. They had no experience with construction work, but learned naturally through trial and error. Through sweat and tears, the farm began to materialize little by little. Finally, in 2000, the Leda farm was completed, and Reverend Mrs. Moon visited the site. He comforted those who experienced difficulties while building the farm. Now, after overcoming many hardships, they are experiencing the pleasure and rewards of their hard work. Amazing things happened before their eyes, things that could be called miracles. In Leda, they not only constructed buildings for the farm, they also planted trees in the empty plains. As a result, today there is green in Leda.
If we look at a Paraguay map around 1960, there are still green forests. However, today, if you look at a satellite view, you will notice only 38% of the forests remain. Over 60% of the forests have been cut down. So we are teaching the people of this nation the importance of planting trees and caring for the planet through drinking water initiatives.
The Leda farm dreams of an ideal village where humans and nature coexist. It was only possible through the strong will and devotion of the workers. Now that the basic facilities were built, Leda Farm began to focus their energies on production. Hard work was needed to cultivate the barren land and to raise the cattle. After all these years, what does the Leda Farm look like? We see pigs roaming about in the spacious farm. This is how the pigs graze.
A happy pig is one who is not caged. They walk about freely, enjoying the nature, and return at night. So you can taste the difference.
After roaming freely, the pigs return to the farm during meal times. This is possible because they have made a special promise with the pigs.
Whenever we ring the bell at the pig school, we give them food. So when we ring the bell, they know it's time to eat and return. It's like a mother calling her child to dinner. This is now a habit for them, and they return from wherever they are when they hear the bell ring.
It's amazing that the pigs respond to the sound of the bell. Let's watch. As soon as the bell rings, an amazing scene unfolds. The pigs really do return to the farm to eat their meal.
If we can make pigs happy, we can also make mankind happy. There are very few people who raise pigs this way. In the same way, people also don't like it when they are bullied or hear mean words. This is also Reverend Moon's teaching. We must love the creation. The philosophy is that God painstakingly created all things, and so we must treat them with care and love.
Today, the Leda managers are visiting a neighboring village. The village school has invited them to visit. The school wants to greet and thank Reverend Moon and the Leda farm for building a school in the village and supporting their education. Students, teachers, and parents have prepared and gathered for this event. The children are performing the dance they have practiced. They are offering their gratitude for supplying a safe place for the children of the impoverished Indio tribe to study and for their continuous support. The pacu is the obvious symbol of the Paraguay River and the Leda farm.
Estamos a 900 kilómetros.
Leda is 900 kilometers from the capital, Asunción. It is a remote and forgotten Indian village that receives very little help from the government.
Y que gracias a la preocupación
Today, this event is to thank Reverend Moon and the managers of Leda Farm, who have taken an interest in the well-being of us Indians.
Se preocupó por las comunidades indígenas y por eso estamos celebrando estos. Es para agradecer por todo el apoyo que nos brinda.
Before Reverend Moon arrived to South America, the school where local students studied was in complete deterioration. In 2003, through the support of Reverend Moon and the efforts of the Leda people, a new classroom was built next to the abandoned school. Finding immediate work is also important, but in order to end the vicious cycle of poverty, education is necessary. Even dreaming of a better future is only possible through education. That is why the investment in educating young people is never futile.
First, we are grateful for building this school in 2003, and second, for showing concern for the environment by planting many trees. Finally, nearly every year school supplies are sent, and we are asked how the students are doing. This is very important to us. Among the people of Paraguay, nobody does that for us.
Porque ninguna persona se preocupa por nosotros del Paraguay.
The future of Leda is very hopeful because of these children. Some families invited the Leda farm people to their homes. After finding work at the Pacu fishery, they were able to escape from poverty, and with their children in school, they became a happy family. They shared how their daughter recently married and started a happy family.
We are happy. Mom, myself, all of us are happy. Our daughter is now studying and will graduate in a year. She will receive a nursing license. After she graduates, I hope she can work in a big city in Brazil or Paraguay.
Once a wasteland, Leda is now heading towards the completion of the Pantanal project. Uruguay is located in the southeast region of South America. This is Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay. Last April, an international leadership conference hosted by Dr. Hakcha Han-moon of the Universal Peace Federation was held here. Over 300 South American leaders consisting of former presidents, first ladies, Catholic priests, and Protestant ministers from each nation gathered to discuss peace through overcoming national, racial, and religious barriers. These people have gathered because they fervently agree with the peace initiatives of Reverend Moon.
He was a man of peace, a man of belief, and at the same time he was an important investor in the country. Then I met him in New York, and I have been very often participating in the activities of the Peace Foundation.
Reverend Moon and I understood each other, and we shared our values of upholding the family, religious harmony, and peace.
It is where the love of a mother and father.
Dr. Hakcha Han-moon, who established the Universal Peace Federation together with Reverend Moon, holds much affection toward South America and travels all over to spread the message of peace. Through these activities, Dr. Hakcha Han-moon guides leaders of each nation not only to agree to peace, but to support and execute actions for peace.
And opportunities are brought together through mutual love.
However, before we have the founder's address,
This conference was titled Towards a New Paradigm of Peace and Human Development in Latin America. Each national leader suggested action steps toward establishing lasting peace in each nation. Dr. Hakcha Han-moon appealed for more active participation in the peace movement through an address read by FFWPU International Headquarters Director General Sun Jin-moon.
I sincerely request that all leaders here today take part in bringing fruition to these various projects my husband and I initiated for the Americas. God's ideal world is borderless, a world of freedom, peace, unity, and happiness. God exists. For this reason, your efforts and the benefit of South and North America will not be in vain. It is up to each and every one of us to make this heavenly ideal a historical reality, and in the shortest time possible.
Soccer fans from all over the world are fixated on the Brazil World Cup, but soon, on July 14th, it will come to an end. However, there are plans for yet another soccer tournament that will catch the attention of the world.
I'm sure you've heard of the Peace Cup in Korea. The year after the World Cup is held, the Peace Cup will be held there.
The Peace Cup is an international soccer tournament founded by Reverend Moon after the 2002 Korea-Japan World Cup. It aims to promote world peace and harmony through soccer. The Emperor of Football, Pele, also worked hard for the progress of the Peace Cup. The first tournament took place in Korea in 2003. Since then, there have been 5 magnificent Peace Cups. The participation of Europe's prestigious soccer clubs and star players raised the level of play in the tournament. The Peace Cup, encourages the realization of peace by overcoming national ideologies and thoughts, races, and cultures. Soccer will now become a catalyst for peace.
The result is that Reverend Moon's ideology of peace was substantiated. Soccer accomplished what no president or singer was able to do. I think Reverend Moon first pioneered the possibility of soccer as a vehicle for world peace.
Additionally, in 2000, Reverend Moon purchased the Brazilian soccer club Sorocaba and raised their level up to par with the best clubs in Brazil.
There are various ways to approach world peace. Based on the Reverend Moon's peace theology, peace will come when one nation shares their best practices with another. For this reason, Reverend Moon invested the Sorocaba Soccer Club in Brazil.
When Reverend Moon took over the team, it was at the third league level. By 2008, however, they were Paulista Cup champions. They used this opportunity to go on an Asian tour and play a match with the North Korean national team in Pyongyang, surprising the world. Since then, they have continued to maintain friendly relations with the North Korean team. In 2010, another friendly match was held in Pyongyang. And in 2011, the North Korean women's soccer team spent a month training at the Sorocaba Club. Through soccer, friendly relations were created with North Korea. This was an unexpectedly great achievement.
North Korea also believes that soccer is the best way to reach out to the world. For this reason, they tried to use the Brazilian soccer club as a precedent. We have plans for the North Korean national youth soccer teams or women's team to come and practice here. We are doing this in an effort to develop peaceful relations with North Korea.
A culture where Korean songs are sung, the family is considered the most important and peace is loved. On the other side of the world, we discovered a special part of South America. They consistently pioneered in South America since their first visit in 1965. In 1995, the Pantanal project began in full swing. The tears and sweat they shed were not simply for pioneering in the wild. Their efforts extended towards creating an ideal village of peace.
If Pantanal dies, I will die. If Pantanal lives, I will live. Pantanal is not only the legacy of Brazil, it is the legacy of the world. This is the vision that the ideal model of family, society, nation, and world will start from Pantanal. I am talking about the ideal world.
They were people who made the impossible possible and never gave up hope. The abandoned land of South America has now sprouted new life, and issues concerning the global environment and hunger are considered equally. A community of peace that overcomes all national, tribal, religious, and language barriers. Even today, these dreamers head towards this path step by step.